What's up YouTube? Today we're going to work on the clutch master cylinder and getting it ready for the LS. Alright, obviously, or not obviously, depending on, you got to take off the clutch hard line, and I think I got a clip of that I'll show here. And down in here we have 2 bolts, but before we get this, I want to be able to just, when I unbolt these, just slide it right on out, so we got to get under the dash. We have the cotter pin to the master cylinder here. Take the cotter pin out, and then that little bolt will just slide right through, and then loosen take off the 2 nuts on the outside, and it'll slide right out. So let's go ahead and get that. Probably easiest just to grab, some needle nose pliers and just pull it on out. And we'll push the rod through. We want to take it out on the other side. Kind of tight space. And then let's go undo the other bolts on the outside. So you have 2 12mm bolts, or 2 12mm nuts that are kind of hard to get to. You got one right there, and then one right there. The angle is a little difficult, and the booster being in the way is a little difficult. If you have one of those swivel, you'll probably want a 1/4 inch, probably to help with some space, and it's deep enough that you probably need a deep socket. Alright, so I got the master cylinder out. I went ahead and put you can't really see, I put the nuts back on the bolts just so I don't lose them. And next we got to get this arm and this U joint, I guess. Got to get this arm off and get it mounted onto the Wilwood. All right, what I have here is the stock S14 clutch master cylinder and the replacement Wilwood. The reason why you need to replace the Wilwood is because it has more volume, and because the clutch obviously is bigger, it needs more volume to be able to depress in order to be able to shift in and out of gear. But in order to use this, you need to switch this rod and this U fork here onto the Wilwood one. If you were to line them up, you can see that it's almost long enough. It's just a little bit shorter. And in addition, when you add on the adapter plate, it'll push it back more, which will make it even shorter. So you need to be able to have the rod at the right length so the pedal can go back and forward. So what we're going to do is I went ahead and marked where this is basically the edge of the master cylinder here to the center of the U on the U joint here, the hole, and then we're going to take it off, put this on here, put on the adapter bolt, and then space it to where it has the same spacing. That way when you actually bolt it into the firewall of the car, it will have the same length. In order to do that, we need to get this cup off. Oh, as a quick note or a quick reference, you can see that the Wilwood is at 12 and 6 o'clock where the bolts are, and you can notice over here on the stock one, it's more of an 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock kind of position, and that's what this adapter plate, that's the purpose of this adapter plate, is to be able to clock it over to where it still is upright. You don't obviously need to buy an adapter plate if you didn't buy the kit. You could make one yourself, but I mean, I went ahead and I just got the full kit. It was not so expensive, and you know, be easy to manage because everything's here. The other thing to note is when you put it in the car, do not put the line on the master cylinder first. You want it on the slave cylinder, because slave cylinder goes inside the T56 and it comes out. If you put it on here, there's no way of getting it into the slave cylinder, because obviously the transmission's bolted to the engine, stuff like that. So leave this off and put it on the transmission first. Okay, well, let's get this off. In order to get this rod off the master cylinder, I'm going to take off the boot, and then there's going to be a ring that's clipped in that'll have one indentation. I don't know if you can see that in there. I'll have one indentation that you need to get something small, and then you just want to pry it loose. There's one side of it. There we go. It comes out just like that. I'm going to want to clean the tip of this off. It's kind of dirty and nasty. Now that everything's clean, can't get this, I mean, you could end up cutting it off, but when you go to put the Wilwood on, it'll just be easier if you went ahead and loosened this up. And we're going to use a 12 to get this loose. All right, now to get the rod off the Wilwood master cylinder, we'll pull the grommet off, and it is much tighter than the stock S14 one. Okay, pull it off, and we have the same kind of locking mechanism, but it is from snap ring. You can see in there, they're for snap ring pliers. So I'm going to go grab my snap ring pliers and let's get these out. Once you got your snap ring pliers, you pull back the grommet, and you can find, I'd recommend having the 90-degree angled ones. It'll allow you to get there in there a little bit better. And then lift it right on out. All right, so we're going to use the rubber boot, the ring, and the seat clamp. Okay, the rubber boot is, as you can see, it's got a little tightening thing on there. We'll want to loosen that a little bit, but we do not want to jab a hole. You don't want to stab a hole in the boot. All right, there we go. We don't need this. We'll use this again back on the Wilwood. For getting this off, do yourself a favor and loosen this bolt, or loosen this nut before you take it off the clutch. it's just so much easier. You see it's a little bit tweaked because it was on there kind of hard, and I had to twist, and I had to hold this as leverage, so it just kind of bent. All right, got that off. Take the nut off. And take the boot off. And there you go. You can see that the stock one is a bit longer, and we're gonna need this. Okay, well, instead of putting the boot on first and putting this on, let's go ahead and set this in. And then we're gonna get the C-clamp with our pliers. Almost went in. The top is still, the bottom is locked in, but the top is not. So, you know, you want to be very careful to make sure you have it all in. All right. I could see that that's seated in well. I'm just gonna push it down just, you know, to make sure. Little tug test. Yeah, looks good. I'll just put the boot on. There we go. I need to put it back on the lip. Trying to get it up on the lip. Doesn't want to go, so I'll leave it at that. Then we need to put the nut on. Get the nut all the way on, and then our U-clamp. Okay, so we have our marks we need to line up. I'm going to line it up to here first. That right now is spot on, but I need to add this onto it. So let's do that first. It comes with two 13mm bolts and washers. Make sure you got those. And pretty easy enough. You just, you know, slide it right on through. And then go ahead and, you know, bolt it down. I have the sikky upside down on this, so I'm gonna turn it around. That way I got the sikky face up. Get the bolts on. These are 13mm bolts, right? And just use your, this is a 12, I need to grab a 13. Just use your box end and torque it down. All right, so like I said, just grab your 13 and, you know, kind of get it torqued down, and then we'll line it up with the where it would be placed, and then let's get it to where the, oh, right there. All right, once you take, if you put the nuts on, or go ahead and take the nuts back off, and then you'll be able to slide the master cylinder right in. and then bolt it back down. All right, with a little bit of work, you can get a 1/4 inch one down in there, but it's a real pain. The one next to the brake booster. All right, and back underneath, it's the same as before. Get the fork in between the clutch pedal, and then slide the piston in. Make sure the piston with where the cotter pin goes in toward the brake. That way you can put it on. All right, with the measuring before, it slid right up there, went right through the hole, and then was able to get the cotter pin on. Well, all right, YouTube, that was, with getting that measuring done before, using that spacer, getting it nice and fine, I was able to just get it on up there, and I had no trouble. All right, well, that is doing the Wilwood that is doing the Wilwood clutch master cylinder for the LS swap. I got more coming. Like, comment, subscribe.